I've been making some of these, but dehydrating them for garland for our home. And as I was, it struck me that maybe the birds, the seabirds, might enjoy having the opportunity to have a nice citrusy snack. So I brought some out here on our hike. They smell delicious. The dehydrated ones I'll share later with you. But for right now, I just wanted to set a nice little serving out for some of our feathered friends. I simply took some twine and poked a hole through each, tied it up, super simple. And I'll check back in a day or two, collect the twine, and then I'll do it again if it seems they liked it. So let's take a moment, get ourselves cozy, and just kind of enjoy being out here. The eagles are flying overhead. We're tucked into this lovely spot, and it's like a windbreak even, because it's been really chilly. It's about 28, 29 degrees, but where we are, you guys are tucked into the tree, and the ocean behind me and the ocean behind you is cold. It's actually frozen. I'll show you as we walk back, but just by the shoreline, not the entirety of it, but it's just tucked in here. When you get up and then get into the woods, it feels so much warmer and very cozy. So I'm excited to share a few moments with you. I'm going to share with you a quick recipe that's also on the blog for a straightforward overnight hat that you can whip up. And I did it for my husband using one ball of Ella Rae yarn that I got from my local yarn shop. And the project, the gift, cost me less than $8. It was wonderful. So I'll be sharing that with you in just a moment. I'd like to share with you a little bit about a hat that I made for my husband. You guys are perched in an area that makes you super comfortable and safe. It kind of makes you feel like you're in the woods with me, and I'm gonna squat down, grab my stuff, and share with you. So through the trees, it's a wonderful spot to be. Before I tell you how I made this hat, which is super simple and super snowy now, I'd like to share with you a question that I get asked, the answer to a question that I get asked quite a bit. This is why I have you guys up, because Sasha is careening through and she would knock you over. You'd be flat on your back staring at the sky, and we don't want that. So before I tell you the really simple strategy, instructions, recipe for this hat that whipped up so quickly and rather easily, I'd like to share with you the answer to the question that I was sharing with you before. And that question is, Mel, when you are out in nature, especially in cooler temps like now, winter, how do you keep warm? And the answer is multiple levels. So first, I wear a lot of wool and I wear a lot of layers. When you see me, I usually have on tights, leggings, woolly sweaters. Underneath the woolly sweaters are usually a solid base layer or a second layer, and then underneath that I have another layer of something thin, maybe silk or really very thin, fine wool undergarments. But this This, my friend, is my secret weapon. Yep. It is a hot water bottle and it is wonderful. I put it in my backpack and I towed it around with me. It's in my backpack in the furthest part of the backpack, so as you're going in, and it's the part that actually will be up against my back. And that slow, warm feeling makes me very comfortable the whole hike. Or if I start to find a spot where I want to sit down and chat with you, I will take it out and I'll either put it on my lap or I'll tuck it in my jacket, and then I'll tuck my hands in and then pull them out warm. If I'm knitting, and I do like, even if it is cold, I do like to take a few minutes and sit in nature and just take it all in, because it's absolutely beautiful. In fact, let me see if I can tap this screen and share with you a better view of what's behind me. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So that is one of the mountains that we really do enjoy hiking. It's more of a dome-shaped, really beautiful hike. So that's what's behind me. The hot water bottle is living inside a knitted, comfy hot water bottle cover that a friend of mine created as a gift for me for Christmas. And that is something I want to talk about. Little special gifts to give people that make them feel so wonderful. The one that I did this week was great fun for me. It was at my husband's request. He got a hat last year that was knit out of Brooklyn tweed shelter. And it was a lovely, lovely knit. I'll have some pictures either on my Instagram feed or on the blog with the instructions for this, so you can see what that older version looked like. It was a beautiful golden green, well, it was a golden color with some green undertones. Really fun to knit. He was really excited about it. He balled the yarn. It was a great gift to give him. Somehow, in the course of the year, the hat has vanished. And so he was put on the naughty list, the naughty no knits for you list. But he came up and asked if I could do that amazing thing that I do with my yarn and needles and whip up something special. He's like, I know you could just whip it up really quick. And I started thinking, I could. And he had the yarn that he wanted. And so what I did is I took 2 strands of LRA, 1 strand from the inside of the skein, 1 from the outside. It was a skein of yarn, like I said earlier, that I got from my local yarn shop for under $8 for this 100% wool yarn. He loved the color. It was a lot of fun. Let me grab it for you. It was a lot of fun to do, and it was super simple. If you can knit and purl. Now, it's not a race. I'm standing up a little bit higher so you can see me. It's not a race, so don't feel like you have to knit it up in a day like I did. I did it just out of sheer enjoyment. It's worked in 2x2. No, it's not. It's 3x2. It's 3x2 knit. And I, truthfully, was just gonna do the brim. See, it's pretty long. He requested an even longer watch cap, fisherman style hat. And so he wanted a brim. The brim I was thinking of was kind of like this, right? And the more I knit, the more he wanted the brim to be increased. So we got it to about a 3.5, and he could pull it down or pull it back or however, but that's really what he wanted. So holding the 2 strands together and casting on, I did a long tail cast on, super simple. Did it on size US 8s. So I wanted it to be a bit tighter, even though I was holding the 2 strands together. I could have done the 2 strands on a larger needle, but I wanted it to be really fitted, and I wanted it to be something that even though I was a little upset he lost the last hat, he's a great guy to knit for because he loves whatever you've given him. And he holds on to it and just cherishes it and just kind of eats it all up. And so I knit and knit and knit, 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 knit. And then just did decreases, very simple decreases, and pulled it really tight, ran it through, tied it off, and that's it, my friend. Super quick, super easy. It looks good either way. In fact, this is the side I actually like better. If it was for me, which it's not, this is how I would wear it. I like this version a bit better. You see? So this gives you more of the purl on the top and less of the knit, and then the opposite on the brim. But my friends, he prefers this. And at the end of the day, it's his hat, and he gets to pick how he wears it. I'm gonna put this simple recipe up on the blog, Encourage Better, and I'm gonna tell you the measurements for his head. And this has a ton of negative ease, as you can see. And negative ease, just to make sure everybody knows, negative ease is the fact that it is knit smaller. See how it's very, very small? And it'll stretch to fit. Versus something that, like my dress that I'm wearing, my knitted dress, has a ton of positive ease. It's a lot larger than the form that it needs to fit. She's so funny. I wish I could pan in real time, and so you guys could see how happy she is when she's running through the forest. I'm gonna get some footage on our way back. We're gonna have to go soon because the tide is coming up. And this, where we are, is called Sometimes Island. Sometimes it's an island when the tide is low. Sometimes it's not an island when the tide, no, I've got that backwards. Sometimes it's an island when the tide is high, which the tide is coming in. We've got another hour, 15 minutes. But tide and trains wait for no man, right? Tide, time, and trains wait for no man. Same thing here. And on one side it's sheer ice. And so you have to be cautious as you're walking through. But Sometimes Island has this little spit between the mainland and here. And so as we kind of trollop or tramp through, it's a lot of fun to get over here, and you feel like you really are in a different part of the world. This, if you look behind me, I took you guys this summer to Bird Island. I believe it was the 4th of July. And right behind me over there is Bird Island. I put the sweet treats up for the birds. I have a recipe for taking pine cones, which I'm gonna gather some just like this here, like you are seeing right here. I'm gonna gather some of these off the ground, and I'm gonna coat them with a little bit of peanut butter and bird seed, and then bring them back out and hang them up too. We've got a lot of birds here, and it's fun to decorate the trees this time of year with treats for them. Plus they look like little yellow rainbows, don't they? Okay, friends, check out the blog post, which will have this, and I'll do it in a couple of sizes, even though it's negative ease, and it'll stretch to be really form-fitting. My head is quite a bit smaller than my husband's, so I'll give you the parameters for what this will fit, and then the size smaller and the size larger. It'll all be in there with the notes. Like I said, though, this one took one full skein. I had about maybe 3 yards left over when I finished. So keeping that in mind, you can do it in a skein if you don't want so much of the brim. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Let me put it down and show you guys. thing I'm working on. And it is this. Not going to tell you too much about it, except for what I've done is incorporated, if you can see right here, some elastic in my knitting. I made a lot of masks, like many people in the world. I sewed a lot of masks for 2020, and I had quite a bit of this elastic left over. And as I was trying to problem solve an issue that I was having with one of my knits, I discovered that this elastic would be a terrific solution. And so this will be upcoming very soon to share with you on the blog. And I think you'll be excited to see how easy it is to problem solve when we are creating something and we notice that there are things that could be fine-tuned, and we get that opportunity to strategize and discover our own way of making a solution. And for me, it was elastic. Well, I'm going to tuck this in. I'm going to gather my stuff up and hit the road, hit the trail, and record a bit of our hike back. If you see at the end of this any of that footage, then hooray, it worked. If you don't, then check out the Instagram feed, because I'm sure if you follow me as Ski Knits on Instagram, or you make the blog Encourage Better a frequent place of your stops and starts, then you'll see those little tidbits there. I hope that this season is wonderfully exciting for you, and yet filled with moments of peace and joy and creative ways to incorporate very simple things to make our part of the world even more beautiful and enriched. From my part of the world to wherever your part of the world is, I want you to know that on my mind and in my heart is you. And I know that you are a treasure. It brings me great joy to have this moment with you. You are so valuable. Your voice and your ideas, the small things that you probably have ideas for, the sharing of your corner of the world, it's snowing, the things that you're experiencing and maybe problem solving yourself, that unique perspective, my friend, is something our creative community could certainly benefit from. So know that you and your thoughts and your ideas are a treasure. And I hope it's a treasure that you share with others.